Bruce, you wanted to ask?
How do you link the pain to the sin? Like in your physical, if you've got
Well, if you're not sensitive to
roadmap?
pain and you're not sensitive to your suffering and you're not sensitive emotionally, it's very difficult to link the two together frequently. So for example, the other day you couldn't link, you came up to me and said, I got this terrible pain behind my eyes, a headache and whatever. You couldn't link it to what was causing it. Yeah. And it's frequent because you're not sensitive to the relationship between the two, and even not sensitive to the pain itself, although some pains get so intense that you start doing it, you start feeling it. But that's an example of pain. What happened the other day was Bruce came up to me and said, Sunday, I think it was Sunday, he said that, he just had this terrible pain behind his eyes, he could hardly concentrate, it was just like big headache, and just wondered what the cause was. And there was something that happened on Sunday that he wanted to suppress his sadness about. And so he said to me, well, so that means I just need to feel my sadness. And I said, no, you need to feel why you don't want to feel your sadness. Does that make sense? That's what's causing his pain, that he didn't want to feel the sadness. Not that he had sadness, but that he didn't want to feel it. That's what causes a lot of our pain, our intent to avoid. Like having sadness is not a sin in itself. Can you see that? Having shame, having sadness, none of that's a sin in itself. What the sin is avoiding the feeling of it. That is what's going to cause the pain. Avoiding the processing of it, avoiding the feeling of it. Because God designed the human soul to feel it, and when you choose to not feel, this is what the result is. You get pain and suffer, and if you do that for a long period of time, you'll get suffering. Does that make sense? And then as soon as you connect to it, bang, it all disappears. There's your proof. There's your proof that the suppression of the emotion is what causes the pain. You don't suppress the emotion, you don't have the pain anymore. Right? Knowing that would give you some faith for the next time you have some pain. Right? Okay. Now, the definition applies to all pain. So that's all physical pain, emotional pain, pain caused by accidents, pain caused by diseases, pain caused by some kind of freak event, everything. Laura?
Just say, like what you're saying, if you've got the pain in your eyes, can you literally just actually allow the pain in the eye or the pain wherever it is to take you to an emotion if you really don't know? Like pray?
No, usually not, because the pain is an indication you don't want to go to the emotion. So you want to address the fact that you don't want to do it, not try to force yourself to do it.
Because if you wanted to, you wouldn't even have to follow the
if
steps.
If you wanted to feel the emotion already, you would not feel the pain.
It wouldn't get to the pain.
It wouldn't even get to the pain point. No.
The pain point.
Yeah. You might still have some suffering from the past, but it wouldn't get to the pain point. You follow?
Yes.
Yep. Diane, thanks.
I'm just thinking about a child in that, situation, feeling pain. Mm-hmm. And my sense is this what's happening, that using myself, I'm more willing for that child to experience pain. Say it's my son. I'm more willing for him to experience my pain than I am to even acknowledge
my own
that
pain.
It's my pain.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly true. Most of us as parents are not as good parents as we want to believe we are. Right? God's a great parent because God doesn't do any of that with us. Even like addictions and everything, like we want our children to feed our addictions, don't we? Half the time we have children so they feed our addictions. Or so they might feed our addictions in the future at some point. Right? But God doesn't have you so that you can feed God's addictions. God's always honest and truthful with you. God won't feed your addictions. Isn't that wonderful? Because if he fed your addictions, he wouldn't be a very good parent. He'd be the same as your parent is. All right, so he chooses to not feed your addictions. He wants you to know the truth. He wants you to understand the truth. So God's viewpoint of the matter completely different. So God wants you to experience your pain. Isn't that interesting? That's why God doesn't take it away. How many people in the world pray for the God to take the pain away? If your pain goes away after praying to God for taking your pain away, I suggest to you that God is not doing it. Someone else is doing it for you. Can you see why? God's laws created the pain in the first place. Do you think God would break his own laws in order to answer your prayer? Of course not. If you have pain, it's the direct result of these things. Is God going to take it away from you? No, he's not. The reason why he's not is because you're not addressing its cause. If you were addressing its cause, that might be a different matter. But God's not going to take your pain away from you. If you pray to God and have your pain taken away, I'm telling you, you're not praying to God, you're praying to some spirit who's come along and help you to not feel your pain. Because God's laws are there so that you feel your pain. And God won't do something against his own laws. Do you understand the reason why? Because it's a feedback mechanism. It's a feedback mechanism, and this is what we have to understand. You see, pain and pleasure are both feedback mechanisms. God's giving you some feedback. Yeah? If we come to Sherry.
So if you're suffering and you obviously don't know what the emotions are.
Well, can you say that really?
Well,
the pain's telling you probably that you're in denial of emotion, and whose choice is that?
Yeah, mine, yeah.
So how can you say you don't know?
Like you don't know specifically what the emotion is, you know.
No, how can you say you don't know? I'm saying you do know. I'm saying how can you say you don't know? Isn't it? What's the difference between not knowing and making a choice to not know? When you're suffering, you're making a choice to not know.
Right, okay.
So let's see it as it really is. Let's take responsibility for it. Mm-hmm. The fact that I don't know is because I'm making a choice to not know. I need to take responsibility for that choice.
Yeah.
You follow?
Yeah.
So right now, inside of me, I have some pain. Mm-hmm. I'm making a choice to not know its cause or to not feel it. Mm-hmm. You follow?
Yeah.
All of us are the same. We've got to stop telling ourselves we don't know and start telling ourselves, I choose to not know.
Yeah.
But go on, Siri. You had the rest of the question.
So yes, I've chosen not to know.
I've chosen to not know.
But my law of attraction is doing everything to
tell me what it is.
To tell me what it is and to trigger them.
Whose law of attraction?
God's.
God's law. Okay.
So that's in place. So God's doing everything God can to try and help me to see the emotions that I don't want to feel.
To expose the truth to us, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
God is.
So, yep.
God's a wonderful parent.
Very good.
always trying to help us. Always trying to expose to us what's going on. If we go to Nina, thank you.
I just want to confirm that I've understood correctly. We can stop the sin, i.e. the pain, and suffering may continue until we repent.
Pain, remember, I'm talking about pain as being instant. Stop. You're now getting a bit what I'd classify as anal about the whole thing. I'm saying one is an instant response to a particular thing. The other is long-term. You understand the difference, obviously. So obviously, if you stop the intent to sin inside of you, then that's going to instantly reduce your pain. So, for example, you like the example I gave to Bruce has the hurt, the pain behind his eyes. The intent to sin is he has no desire to feel that he doesn't want to feel it. So there is an intent to sin. There's an intent to not feel it. if you feel that, the intent to not feel it goes away, and therefore the pain will go away. Do you understand? But there's still sadness from something inside of him that's causing suffering long term. The instant pain might go away, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean the suffering's been released on that particular issue.
I
You follow me?
Yeah, so that could be releasing the suffering, could be all manner of different things.
Yes, like, it was triggered through the discussion on the Sunday for Bruce. So there's something in the discussion Sunday which he's suppressing emotionally that's quite powerful in his life, that obviously instantly his desire to suppress, which was the instant sin, causes the pain, but the long-term suffering is still present even after he's no longer desired. So let's say now it says, or he goes through a process where he no longer desires to shut down his sadness, right? Then what will happen is the pain will still be there, the sin will still be there unless he chooses to remove it at some point in the future.
Yeah.
You follow?
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, if we go to page...
AJ, just to follow on from Nina's question. So I understand from what you've just explained then about the instant pain. When choosing to address the suffering and release the causal emotions, that may be a painful process.
See, now you see, I don't think that is myself, but anyway, you obviously do. To me, once you start connecting to emotion, it feels to me like you no longer feel pain, like to me. Okay. But I know you guys think that is a painful process, but to me, one of the reasons why you think that is because of your belief about connecting with emotion. Like, if you believe experiencing emotion is a painful process, that's a false belief, because the reality is, to me, feeling emotion is actually fantastic. Okay. I always enjoy that process.
Cool, thank you.
But I understand why you don't, because you have certain belief systems, emotional belief systems, that are the reason why you avoid that process.
Exactly.
Yeah. So here we're talking about... So perhaps I need to be a bit more defined here. Here I'm talking about not the pain of emotional release, because to me that isn't even a pain really for me. And for anybody who's actually connected emotionally, you'll find that's probably not a pain, but actually a pleasure. So I actually feel when you actually really do connect emotionally, you experience a lot of pleasure, even though you might be crying because of some past. You're in this process, removing the sin, and removing the sin will be you will interpret it as a painful process. It's sort of like again, if we use the illustration of a barb in your skin, what's more painful, leaving it there, accidentally touching it all the time, and all the time being bothered by it, you can't sleep because it's there. What is that more painful than just digging around with a needle and yanking it out? Which one's better? Doesn't the digging around with a needle and yanking out actually feel relief, like in the process? So that's how I feel. It's more like a relief than a pain. You know what I mean? Yeah. But in the past, I have used the terminology of painful experience, but it's a relieving experience. This one is pain adding to pain. This one's not a relieving experience. So we're not talking about relief here. We're talking about actually feeling more of it, and more of it, and more of it, and more of it, and so forth. Does that make sense? Yep. So, Barbara, thanks.
I've had a few occasions where I've been in physical pain, and once I've connected to what was causing the physical pain and had a realisation what I was doing, the physical pain disappeared, but my suffering is still there.
Yes.
Because I haven't dealt with the emotion attached with it.
Yes.
So God's grace by me recognising and just even taking that action of recognising, I was able to relieve the instant pain,
Yeah,
but I haven't released the suffering.
yeah,
That sums that up.
yeah, yeah. Most of you have had that experience at some point. Okay, what I wanted to do is make sure that you understood too the linkage between sin, out of harmony with love, and breaking God's laws. That's all the same thing. Yeah. So that's very important to understand. Breaking God's laws, doing something out of harmony with love, and sinning is all the same thing. And all of those definitions are interchangeable. And remember, we should have 3 definitions here. Using my will out of harmony with love over a period. Using my will to break God's laws over a period. Should be in this list here. And there's our definitions. All right, well, let's move on to pleasure, shall we? Please.